Hello, everyone, and welcome to another elite episode of the Get Authentic with Marques show. I'm your host, Marques Ogden, and today's episode, we're talking Mr. Damon Lembi. But before we bring up Damon to the stage, I want to thank one of our amazing sponsors, and it is Learn It, owned by Mr. Damon Lembi. They are a great firm in the San Francisco area. They do leadership training, sales training, staff development. Damon has been in the business for over 30 years. He is top flight, and he's a great guy. So we thank Learn It for aligning their brand with our show. Now, here he is, my good friend, Damon Lembi. How you doing today, Damon?
Hey, Marques, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me today. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you, my friend. So, Damon, first question. What does the word authentic/authenticity mean to Damon Lembi?
Be yourself. Show up as you. Don't try to pretend and be somebody else, just whether it's to impress them or whatnot. I look at this in two ways. On one hand, I had this friend who used to like to say he liked to false hype himself. He liked to show up and pretend he was somebody he wasn't, and he thought that made him look better. But honestly, I thought most people just kind of saw right through that, right? And then on the other hand, my idol was my dad, Walt Lembi, who was a huge business person, Marques. And it didn't matter if he was meeting with a 100 CEO or a parking lot attendant. With Walt, you got what you got. You know, he was just himself, and you either loved him or you didn't, but you just always know what you're getting. And that was kind of what I've tried to model my behavior on, is just be yourself.
You know what I love, Damon? You said show up as who you are and just be who you are. I hope people really learn that from your dad. You talked about Walt Lembi, how CEO, parking lot attendant, right? It goes to the old saying, CEO or the custodian. Doesn't matter to me. As long as you are wanting to be nice to me, respect me, I'm nice to you, and I respect you. So, Damon, talk to our audience a little bit about your background. You talk about your dad, some little things about you, what you learned, how you became who you are today. And then let's get into who is and what is the awesome company of Learn It.
Sure. So a background on me is I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area in a town called Burlingame. I was the oldest of four children, had two great parents. I just mentioned my dad, who unfortunately passed away in 2011. Growing up, Marques, it was all about sports. You know, I had my core group of friends. You know, during baseball season, it was baseball. During football, it was football, basketball, soccer, however it went. And for me, around my sophomore year in high school, I realized that if I was going to take it to the next level in sports, that my best shot would be in baseball, if I was going to get a scholarship or go pro. Fortunately, after my senior year in high school, I got drafted by the Atlanta Braves in the 13th round. And I really had my first tough decision. Do I go in as a 17-year-old to the minor leagues, or do I take a full ride into Pepperdine University? My parents were great. They left that choice with me, and they said they'd support any way I wanted to do it. I took the opportunity to go to Pepperdine, played there, got hurt, left. Funny enough, they won the World Series, but I learned so much. You know, they won the World Series the year after I left, went to Arizona State, had a great couple of years there. And I was ready, you know, like a lot of athletes, to take it to the next level. I didn't get drafted, which was really disappointing and depressing for me. I decided not to go the independent route, but I was really fortunate that I came from a family where there was a bunch of opportunities, whether in real estate or hotels or some of these different businesses we had. And I wasn't really sure, you know, Marques, if my skills were transferable. So I decided to start at a company that my father was just starting, a computer training company. And this is back in June of 1995. And I started there as a receptionist, answering the phone, because I wanted to prove to people that I could earn my way up. I wasn't just put in there because of my dad's thing. I wanted to prove that I belonged. And fast forward 28 years later, here we are. Learn It has upskilled just about 2 million people, which is crazy to think about. And we help everybody from B2B looking to upskill new managers to how to learn Excel or how to have difficult conversations. So it's been a wild ride. It's been a lot of fun. I've met some great people like yourself, and here I am today.
You know, Damon, what I really appreciate a few things. One, you went the Pepperdine route, you decided to get the education, play the game, got hurt, left. They won a national championship, went to Arizona State, learned, worked hard, you busted your butt, didn't get drafted. You had another decision to bear. You said, I'm going to go and work for the family. But did you all hear what he said? Started out for his dad as a receptionist answering the phones. And that is so well received by me. And my question for you is, Damon, how can people listening help them understand how important it is, right, Damon, to start at the bottom and work your way up, and knowing how to learn the business? That way you really know how to handle situations as you move up the ladder.
Great question. And Marcus, here's how I look at it. One is, and this is especially for a small business owner or maybe somebody who's coming in at a management position in a new company, you want to roll up your sleeves and get to understand how the business functions. And really, because it helps build credibility for yourself and respect amongst the team. And so really, that's what I did. I rolled up my sleeves, I answered the phones. You know, again, this is my first job out of school, so I took it really serious. I taught classes, I learned, and I did sales, had some great success, had some big failures, but you know, you learn along the way. So when it was about 6 or 7 years later, when they were looking for a new CEO, I threw my hat in the ring and I said, give me a shot because I've done this, 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 and this. And I could really empathize with the instructors, the sales, everybody, IT. And I think that that is a huge bonus for you, because then if you understand what your team's going through, then they get behind you as a leader as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard what he said. If you're leading a team and they know that you know what you're talking about, and they know that you know you've been in a situation, they're going to follow you to the edge of the earth and beyond. And that's my next question for you, Damon. Love this. This is a great interview. Servant leadership, serving a cause greater than yourself. Steve Jobs did it. Dr. King, Mother Teresa, Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, people that were all about their team, right? They were all about the cause. They were all about trying to level up. And I heard this and I love it. What I love about people like you is you're connecting, right, C-suite to Main Street, because people need that leadership. How important is it, Damon, for people that are leading a team to be servant leaders? And how does Learn It help them to be taught how to be even better servant leaders?
Great. Here's how I look at it. You know, you mentioned a moment ago that your team wants to know that you know what you're talking about. Yes, but it's also really important for your team to know that you're vulnerable and you're not afraid to ask questions. The reason why Learn It's been around, Marcus, for 28 plus years is because I've surrounded myself with fantastic talent. You know, I've gone out and I've hired people smarter than me, better than me, and I've given them the opportunity to grow and succeed. And have not been afraid to say, hey, you know what? I don't have an answer to this. And surround yourself with a diverse group of people. Be open-minded and hear what people have to say. And sometimes your opinion or your idea is not the best. And that's really why I've been able to build a great team. Now, how Learn It helps in this is, I think, educating and investing in your team is basically table stakes these days. Even in a tough economy, now is the time to invest in your team, whether it's through keynotes, something like that you do, or you know, coaching, or like with Learn It, instructor-led training. It's all about reskilling and upskilling your team to get them to a level they need to be at to succeed. And in doing so, it will help motivate them, it'll keep them engaged, and it's just the way to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, did you hear that? In this time, right? And Damon knows what's smart, he knows that's where I'm going to go. You got to invest in your team. Keynotes, coaching, workshops, events, trainings that Damon does, right? it's not an expense when you spend money with the right people, because you should make even more money with the right people. But you got to get out of that mentality. You got to get out of that. I'm going to just share my story, right? I have a team, right? Then I've got Dawn and George and Albert, and I hired a virtual assistant and all these moving parts, right? And I was talking to a good friend of mine. Actually, as a matter of fact, Damon, I'm going to introduce you to him when we chat next after the call. His name is Corey Proctor. Corey played in the NFL. Unfortunately, and Corey knows I love him to death, with the Dallas Cowboys. He was a starting center guard with like Romo and Leonard Davis, Marion Barber. You know, he played under Parcells. Great guy. Corey talked about how important it is, right, Damon, to put people in the positions, hire them so they can do what? Grow the business operationally, so you're not having to be there. Talk about, Damon, how what Learn It does is train people, those managers, those mid-level managers, those leaders, to be operationally better so that the company can really thrive no matter what environment they may be in.
And Marcus, listening to a couple of your episodes, what I appreciate about you is you're always trying a way to make things more efficient or better or streamlined. And I think that that's crucial. And a lot of that comes into the question you just asked about investing in your team. And you want to look at it as an investment, not an expense. Even during times where people are doing layoffs, right now is the best time to invest in training. And that's because for two reasons. One, you want to motivate your team to show them you care. And two, when you lay people off, the tasks and responsibilities, they don't go away. It just means that they need to be done somehow. And so by reskilling the team that you have, it can help cover those skills and become more efficient. And so really what Learn It does is we work with our customers. We usually sit down with the chief of people and we try to understand what are some of their goals and outcomes or challenges they have. And then we tailor a training program that kind of aligns with their goals. It's not a one size fits all. You know, we really want to understand where they're struggling or really where they want to go. And then we develop either cohorts or training opportunities that aren't just one and done, but to help them be sticky, that they're like a path, a training path that people can go through. And I think that it really shows up in the improvement in the team. And when they do their like quarterly reviews, people are excited to work for an organization where people invest in them. And you know what an expense is? An expense is attrition, turnover. Having to hire somebody to come in and take over for somebody who just left because they didn't feel like they were growing as an individual, that costs a lot more than investing in training.
You know, Damon, I equivocate hiring, you, Learn It, me, people that do what we do as buying a home, right? It takes cash to buy a home. But if you buy the home and you treat it good and you put it what it needs into it and you give it that TLC and you're always treating it correctly, the house should appreciate and will appreciate over time. You'll make more money, gain more value, gain more wealth, and gain more overall security. That's exactly what Learn It does. That's what we're all about here. We're about helping people to find ways to get through challenges. So my question for you is, right, David, what is an avatar client for Learn It? Who are you all looking to help? You say corporations? Is there a certain size? Is there a certain industry? Like, get a little bit more granular. People that listen to the show, well, wow, man, you know, this sounds great. I wonder if Damon could come help my company through, again, and then, you know, we're going through some challenges right now, man, with the economy and this, that, and the other. But again, investing with the right people is going to give you huge dividends no matter what it costs on the investment side, in my opinion.
Yeah, so we work holistically with companies of all different sizes, but you know, it's important to hone in on as far as your target customer. Our target customer is usually companies that have between 100 and 1,000 employees. They typically don't have a built-in L&D, learning and development team, so they outsource a company like Learn It. And we typically work with either business units or, like I said earlier, somebody in talent development or chief of people. And Marcus, what's really important is working with customers who want to build a continuous learning culture, who want to have a growth mindset and believe in the importance of developing their team. Because it's tough to work with customers who, want to write a check, but then they don't want to be engaged in the process. So we like to find customers that want to get engaged, work with us so we can, what are they saying, Jerry Maguire, help me help you, help me help you become more successful. Those are our targets.
Love that. So between 100 to 1,000 employees that don't have a trained or built-in L&D, learning development program, that are trying to elevate and trying to really give their people education, inspiration, engagement to make them better. And you said something I thought was really interesting. You mentioned Jerry Maguire. So Lee Steinberg, who is the real Jerry Maguire, has been a friend of our family for over 25 years. Great guy. He's Patrick Mahomes as a client. He's had all these, Jerry Judy from Denver. He's all these huge guys, right? But you talked about, let me help you, right? And I want to talk about, Damon, vicinity. How important it is to be around the right people that are positive, inspirational. I hang around you, Dan. We talk every week, right? Who you
every week
around me, like Jeff, to my client Dan, to all these people, right? That's what I tell people. If you don't like where you're at in life, who's around you? The vicinity. Talk to our audience about how important it is that you and learn, help them to evaluate. Well, hell, if you don't like what's going on, well, see who's around you. If you don't like that, let's help you make some changes to make that vicinity, right, Damon, that much better.
Yeah, I think it's important. Even growing up as a kid, I was really fortunate to be surrounded with good friends who came from good families, who believed in sports and doing the right thing, and I think that carries forward through your business career too. It's like, coming out of sports, I have hundreds of friends, but as you get older, I think you realize it's time to kind of distill that down to like a smaller group of people who are positive, forward thinking, and on the right track. I think life is too short. Time is one thing you can't get back. And it's just important to be able to surround yourself with the right people. How do you do it, Marcus? I mean, you've got a huge network. I mean, how do you go about making sure that you're spending your time with the right people?
That's a great question, Damon. I want people like you that are givers and not just receivers, right? So if I call you or we have a talk, we're always about, like I said, right, Damon, you introduced me to Dan, you introduced me to Scott, you introduced me to Jeff. Like, that's the type of people I want to be around. So if you're listening to this episode, the people you are around, are they givers or just takers, right? Because if you're giving and they're just taking, that's not good. Listen, like for example, right now they'll say, oh man, Damon, I got to put you in touch with Corey. I just talked to Corey yesterday because he made a comment on one of my posts on Facebook. And I said, oh man, let's just connect. I talked to him yesterday and he said, man, look, anybody you want to recommend me, Marcus, I'm there. You know what I'm saying? And this guy was hired by Jerry and Stephen Jones to teach the Cowboy rookies financial planning every year. And he is well connected. He's a great friend of mine. He's a great guy. But again, because you're a great friend of mine, a great guy, you all will have great synergy. So to me, right, Damon, that's what it's all about. Who is giving of their network, of their resources? I call it being affluent. Giving of their resources, their time to help you get ahead. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's great. And well, you've been great. You've introduced me to a bunch of people. And what I want to say to your listeners, which is important, is you can learn something from everybody. Everybody you get in touch with, get curious, listen to what they have to say, and just learn. And it's really a great way to build your network. And in return, like Marcus said, introduce them to other people, but also, if they do something nice for you, send them a thank you note, send them a text, like something on their social media, and the same goes with if you find coaches or mentors, people love to share their experience with you, but you should tell them how you utilize that experience. If somebody says, hey, you should handle this conversation this way, then what I'll do is I'll call them after I had that conversation and I'll say, hey, thank you, Marcus. I really appreciate you taking the time. Here's how that went. And I think that people really appreciate that. So be respectful. And like you said, don't just be a taker, taker, taker. Ask, 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 give back. And that's part of servant leadership, I think. And it's a great way to grow your network.
Damon, my final question for people that are listening, you've had great success in your business. And I see on the back wall, Rocky. I'm a huge Rocky fan. Like, Rocky is my jam, right? I love it.
Yeah.
But I just had to mention that. But my question is, right, man, like, Rocky was known for his determination, his grit, as I see on your wall as well, that grit.
Yeah.
What's one thing, right, Damon, that you would tell people who want to start a business that they must have, that's a non-negotiable to get through any type of environment?
Okay, what I would tell them is that you got to roll up your sleeves and do the work. And it's not going to be all roses and positivity. You're going to run into tough times, but you got to believe in yourself, surround yourself with good people, and work hard. I know that's more than one thing, but they're all kind of interrelated, right? They're like, it's just like Rocky. I thought you were going to ask me what my favorite Rocky movie was. And I'd say scene 2, where the wife wakes up and tells him just win, but getting back out there, right? That scene gets me every time, Marcus. But for all you out there looking to start a new business or maybe taking on a new job, just, believe in yourself that you can do it, roll up your sleeve and work hard.
Damon, excellent interview from the grit. I love Rocky 2 also. Great one. It's just one of my, that's definitely, I would say Rocky 3 is my number one, then Rocky 2 right after. So, but that scene is number one where she's like, win. Win. And then Mickey gets him like, yo, what are you waiting for?
What are we waiting for? And it gets me every time. Yeah.
And see, and ladies and gentlemen, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about living a life of being ready to go in, go the distance, and go after it. Damon, how can people connect with you and learn if they want to find more about your services, how you help your clients, how to connect with you? Tell them how they can get in touch with you.
One last thing I say about that, audience, if I can do it, you can do it. Put in the work and do it. And so to get in touch with me, our website for my company is learnit, LEARNIT.com. Or you can connect with me on LinkedIn at Damon Lembi. I also wrote a book recently called Learn It All Leader, and you can find that on Amazon. But if you go to LinkedIn and you connect with me, send me a message, and I'll give you a free class if you want. If you want to take something in Excel or you want to do a feedback class. But yeah, LinkedIn's probably best.
Ladies and gentlemen, I can attest to that because one of my good friends, Travis Reed, former basketball player, UCLA, Damon and him connected, and he actually is helping Travis with a free class. So he's a man of his word. He's awesome, great guy, husband, father, giver, leader. And again, we thank Learn It for aligning their brand with our show. And our authentic tip, I'm going to be just like Damon. I'm going to close with that. If he can do it, you can do it. Just like Adrian told Rocky, just win. Just win. That's what we're telling you. Just win. Go get it done. Don't allow fear or negativity to hold you back. Keep pushing forward. Again, this episode was sponsored by Learn It and my great friend, Mr. Damon Lembi. We are so grateful for their sponsorship and their partnership. My name is Marques Ogden, the host of the Get Authentic with Marques show. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.